Hey yo, how's it going everyone? Entropy here today with another video. Today we're going to be talking about my Shaman King Greedon deck that went X1 4-1 at NRG Locals just yesterday. It's a really funny deck. I've been cooking this deck since Greedon came out, set 9. And right now with set 11 support, I definitely think that this deck is pretty crazy. It's definitely better than it used to be, and results don't lie. It's just one locals, but even back then when set 9 came around, there was a small locals around 6 or 8 people, and I got first. Best of 3, I won basically all our matches. Right now it's just 5 rounds of Swiss. We have a variety of matchups, and I'd like to go down through them. But it was pretty good. So let's talk about the list first, and then we'll go into it. And then there's a gameplay at the end. If you're interested, we're gonna be playing a match against Bamboo, my brother, and he's gonna be piloting the Gandiva, and I'll be piloting this Shaman King Greedon deck. So first off, let's talk about Greedon, right? What is Greedon? If you haven't seen the anime, you should. If you haven't memed about the deck, you should. Give it a go. It's a really cheap deck and it's really funny. So Greedon Seed says with this card you can have 5 cards in your ride deck made up of this card, 1 of each calamity card, and then the over trigger, right? So this card gets plus 2k for each calamity with a different card name in your soul. At the beginning of your main phase, you can choose a calamity card from ride deck and put it into your soul, and then once you have 3 costs, you can put 3 from your soul to the top of your ride deck face up, and you can search your hand or deck for up to 1 Grade 10 Greedon in your ride stand. And if you search your deck shuffle, and then if you roll a card, you choose 2 River Circle and you put a Dragon Tree marker on them. Dragon Tree marker is a mini force. It's like a half force. If your Vanguard is a Dragon Tree or Masque, the unit on the circle gets 5k power. So what is the gimmick, right? Now you have 3 of these orders in the order zone. What are you trying to do? So Grade 10 says during your turn, it gets 5k for each Dragon Tree marker on your Rigor Circle. If you have 3 or more, it gets plus 1 crit. So if you have 2, just by riding up, it's 23. If you can spawn a 3rd one, it becomes 28 to crit. The more the merrier, the more the stronger. Auto, once per turn, when this attacks a Vanguard, so you have to attack Vanguard, you can choose a face-up Calamity order, and you can remove it from the game. Once you do that for 3 turns, on your 4th turn, when you cannot remove one anymore, you will choose an over trigger from your ride deck and reveal it, and activate all the trigger effects, remove it from game, and then stand all rearguards that are on Dragon Tree markers. So on that 4th grade 10 swing, your deck becomes a 5 attack deck with a guaranteed over trigger proc. And honestly, back when it came out in set 9, we only had the Nation OTs from ETO1, and we only had the promo OT that just says from the start decks that says choose 2 units plus 10k, right? Those are okay. Frankly, by the time you get to your 4th grade 10 turn, you're probably dead or you're probably out of cards. So most of the Nation's OTs don't really work well with this card. Right, let's think about it, right? If you use Dark States, 10k and a crit for the rest of the game. Well, the rest of the game should be that 1 turn, right? You only have like 1 or 2 turns left, so it's bad, garbage. Dragon Empire, you're gonna resend. That's pretty good, right? 100 million resend, 100 million guaranteed. That's okay. I think that's viable. Keter, you're gonna get extra drive checks. Lol. I've seen people do videos about playing like extra grade 3s, playing grade 4 Bastion, guarantee 4 drive checks off a rearguard. Dude, at that point, you're either really dead, or you're gonna deck out and lose that way. So that's terrible. Please don't do that. You have Stoicheia, which lets you heal 1, get a little bit of everything. I think it's a little bit too late. It's a little too late, just like the Dark State one. The Branke one is pretty funny too, doubling power and doubling crit. So that one, I think I will give a pass to. So out of the 5, you only have 2 that's viable. The rest is garbage. Let's talk about Collab or Lyrical. Lyrical is interesting, but it gives your whole board rearguards extra power. Dragon Tree basically does that already and earlier. It doesn't have the impact that it needs to win you the game. And then for collab decks, you have Token Rambu. It's funny, you have some great units, but it's not good enough yet. We don't have some other collabs in English. what's it called? Records of Ragnarok is hot garbage. Please don't mention them. And then you have the legendary Shaman King, which is what we're talking about today. The overtrigger says deal 1 damage. So if your opponent's at 5, your opponent showed all 4 heals or OT as well. Swing face, you win the game. Basically, this is you win the game. Even if you don't win off this because your opponent hits a heal or something, you still guarantee 100 million on something. Your Vanguard's still really big, even if you don't put the 100 million on the Vanguard, and you deal damage by that turn count, by your 4th grade 10 turn, which is basically turn 7 or turn 8 of the actual game. If you're pinging your opponent for 1, chances are you could deck them out with that too, especially in some matchups like Greedon. So that is something to consider as well. But overall, just guaranteed 1 damage. Your opponent has no way to interact with it. It's just really, really strong. So with that said, let's talk about the rest of the deck. So let's start off with Greedon Masque L. We're gonna play 4 grade 10s. The grade 10 is solid. It's a solid mulligan target as well, because when you ride up, you don't ride from the grade 10 from the ride deck, you ride it from your deck or hand. And that means if you keep it in your hand, really, well, worst case scenario, you have to ride it up, but you ride it from your deck, you deck thin, which is pretty funny. This deck already has 1 less card in the deck than a usual deck, so seeing all your pieces is slightly better. You can argue that it's slightly worse because you won't be able to damage check or offensive check the OT early, but in many cases, actually, other than the Dark States OT, seeing over triggers earlier before your turn 3 turn, before you set things up, can be actually not that great, right? Seeing OT early defensively can also damage deny you off your turn 3 pop-off turn or turn 4 pop-off turn. So having that little consistency reminds me of old Vanguard, just gives the player a little bit more control, it gives your opponent a little bit more opportunity as well. But having more control over the pace of the game can be a positive, in my opinion. Next, we play 1 Evergreen Transfer. This card is from the Festival Collection set. This card is really, really cheap right now. I think it's definitely super undervalued. You can only play 1 regular piece in your deck, and this is the one we choose. The others just don't work. There's no reason to play 4 bit all in this deck. There's no grade 4, grade 3 you're searching. There's no reason to play Cup. Cup requires your Vanguard to be grade 3 with a Persona Ride symbol. Your Vanguard is not in grade 3 with a Persona Ride symbol. And I don't know why you can choose to, I don't know what else you can play. This is just solid, 25k. Shield, you have 1 soul when you ride up. So what happens is you put these 3, you remove these 3 from the game, you ride this from the deck, and you have 1 soul. The deck doesn't use soul besides this card, honestly, so this is basically free. Cancels your opponent's OT when you have that intuition, and it's great. It's a solid card. Next, we play 4 Lysurgs. This is the star of the show. Lysurg is amazing. So it says on place, Rearguard Circle, CV1, search your deck for up to 1 Morphia, and call in the same column as this unit. It says same column, so generally you call it like this, right? But you can also choose to call it like this, because same Rearguard is in the same column. It's food for thought. You can put it behind Vanguard, call a Morphia out, EK booster, very solid. And it says when it attacks Vanguard, you can check the top card and leave it on the top or bottom. So let's say you check the top card, it's a heal, and you're at a higher damage count, you leave it on top, you heal, great, you save yourself 20, 15, 20, 30k shield in this current meta. If it's not a heal, great, you put it to the bottom, and then that definitely increases your odds of seeing a trigger, and you see a trigger, right? So that's just really, really solid. Morphia also helps you determine your attack pattern for that turn. So Morphia on place, it gets +2. So it becomes an AK booster for that turn. And its skill is, you can check the top card. Great. So let's say it's not a trigger, right? If it's not a trigger, then you attack with Lysurg first, you adjust it if it's not a good card, right? If it is a trigger, then you can swing with Vanguard first, right? If it is a trigger, you can swing with Vanguard first, and then pop off the heal. So this is especially relevant when your opponent's at 2 or 3, and when you're like higher or equal damage counts. If you're at an equal damage count, obviously you want to swing Vanguard first to proc off the heal. If your opponent's at 2, maybe you want to swing Rigor first, push your opponent to 3, and threaten that you have a crit on top, and push for game. So your opponent will PG the Vanguard, you can swing Rigor and you deny your opponent. Might be going too far right here, but if you have any questions, just let me know. Morphia also has a really amazing skill that says continuous rigor circle. If you have a unit with light trigger in the same name in the same column, these units cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So whether that is Gandiva retires, or random bind skills here and there, or Patrick from Bruce that can pull your rearguards onto the Guardian Circle, they cannot choose these cards, which is really, really good. And that definitely wins me a lot of games when your opponent doesn't really recognize the card skills. So kind of talk about that. Next, we're playing 4 of the Horo Grade 2. So this card is really, really funny. I would like to just talk about this card as well. Acts Rigor Scroll once per turn. CB1. Choose 2 of your opponent's Rigords in the same column, and they cannot stand during your opponent's next stand phase. So what that means is, no, if they're standing, they can still stay standing, but if they're resting, they cannot stand and draw. So they'll just stay there. This is particularly good in when you're playing against your opponent's decks that have grade 3s in the front row, or decks that really need boosters and don't have a way to replenish them. Reason being that grade 2s that you paralyze can still, pseudo paralyze, can still intercept out of the way, and so they can just call something else from their hand next turn, so it's not as big of a minus. But if it's a grade 3 or a grade 1, they're kind of just dead there, and every single turn you can use this skill because it's act once per turn. You just spam this, stall out this column, your opponent has less attack options. If they call over it, then that's great. That means you basically retired it. Really, really solid. In addition, it has the skill continuous rigor circle. When this battle attack the grade 3 or greater unit, this gets +5. So know that this is a continuous skill, not an auto skill. So if you restand it, it doesn't get another 5k, which is a shame, but it is what it is. We're mainly playing it for the first skill. So the idea is that these are your 2 main rearguards. Light Circle helps you stack the deck and see the cards you want, triggers or PGs or whatever, and then Horo lets you slow down the game and make your opponent play and change up their pace, right? Next, we play 4 Kind Man Wooden Sword Ryu. This card is really simple. In the Guardian Circle, it's continuous. If your opponent's grade 3 or greater, and your Vanguard's not a Wooden Sword Ryu, in this card name, it's just +10k shield, so it's a 15k shield. We don't play any Ryus on the Vanguard Circle in this deck, so 15k shield, very, very nice. Extra shield, very, very cool. You just need to turtle and survive, and then proc your OT to win, so that is what it does for you. And for our last grade 2, we play Yo Asakura. This card is honestly the text a lot. There's a lot of cards that you can play at 1 of instead of this. You can play less of this, more of this. You can play maybe 1 less of this and more of this as well if you want. This card's a little bit more offensive, but it's a very efficient card. It says when it attacks from the rigor circle, it gets +2 for each card in your damage zone for that battle. So if you're at 5, this is a 20k beater by itself. On the Dragon Tree marker, it's 25. And then the second skill is why I kind of like it as well. It's when it's attacked, you get Soul Blast 1 until at the end of the battle. If this unit is hit, it does not get retired. So it's just really, really sticky. Again, just by going into the grade 10, you have 1 soul that you don't really use besides Evergreen. This is an option, honestly, just letting it retire is fine. But when you desperately need the rearguards, this is the one for you. On your OT turn, you can resend this. This is a 25k beater. Again, pretty solid. And there's plenty of other cards you can play, but this is one of the fine ones. We talked about PGs. We cannot play Elementaria because we are playing a grade 10 deck. The new Blitz order is amazing. Corrosive Smoke Signals. It says if I have a Hydrogen Vanguard, which is the grade 0 or the grade 10 or the grade 11 when it comes out, choose one of your rigor circles without any Dragon Tree markers and put a Dragon Tree marker on it. Choose one of your units being attacked and it gets +10k until end of battle. If your Vanguard is Greedon Masque L, it gets +20k instead of 10. So early game, you might be tempted to use it. The reason why is because you could play a Dragon Tree marker. The grade 10 doesn't say it has to be rearguard circles without a Dragon Tree marker, so you can technically stack them like this. So the unit here would get +10 instead of +5. But honestly, I feel like that is generally a bait because this deck is all about being tanky and surviving. Having the 10 extra K shield just off the same card is a lot more meaningful. You don't have to give your opponent damage, so you slow down their gameplay as well. and the 10k shield generally doesn't no pass your opponent early game. Since the rear swing, so generally just giving them a 15k shield is kind of better from my experience. Lastly, we play 3 crits, 4 draws, 4 fronts, and 4 heals. It's rainbow triggers. It's kind of the same concept as grade 4 decks, right? Because your game plan is get into grade 10 or get into your grade 4 and then do your thing. If you die before grade 4 or grade 10, it doesn't matter. So you just need to live and turtle. I used to play 7 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. That is fine as well. I found the fronts pretty solid. The reason being is because your opponent doesn't expect it and your opponent doesn't know your trigger count. Your opponent doesn't know what the hell Shaman King does most of the time, which is great. Honestly, if I had to change anything, I would play more Eliza triggers. There's a card that says CV1 calling Eliza from the drop zone. That's cool. All of these triggers, frankly, don't matter too much other than that. It's just a 1 tech anyways. 10k draws, 20k fronts, 4k crit you could play, but honestly you wouldn't be calling out 50k shield for no reason, and there's no effect heals, so you don't really need to consider that as well. Just the reason why I play 4 of each of the front and draw is that the deck is about surviving, and your Lyserg attack pattern enables you to either choose to stack an offensive trigger or increase your probability offensively, or it helps you increase your chance of seeing a defensive trigger and the likelihood of that. So if it's offensively, well, any of these triggers are good. If it's defensively, well, any of these triggers are good, but a draw on the front is better than a crit. So that's why we play it like that, but that's basically it. If you have any questions, let me know down below. We're just going to go straight into a game against Gandiva. Gandiva is a not so normal matchup because it is really oppressive. It makes you have to play their game. So I can't really show off every card here, but I'll try to show off the Lyserg. I'll try to show off the defensive capabilities of the deck. Gandiva gets really big numbers, but this deck gets even bigger defensive numbers. So let's go into the game and talk to you soon. Okay. So let's do a little practice fight against Gandiva. So obviously, if you bring this Shaman King deck to locals, you're gonna have the element of surprise. Your opponent's not gonna know what you're doing, but you should be knowing what Gandiva does because it's clearly very meta. Most Gandiva lists play 3 fronts. Most Gandiva lists that are topping in Japan right now are just playing the normal Gandiva ride line, and I kind of explain why I prefer that as well in my blog, so check that out. There are topping lists with Babsagara ride line as well, but definitely figure out what's best for you, and yeah, that's as usual, the usual advice. So good luck. Good luck. So this is Bamboo we have here. Hello. Top 8 Toronto BCS. Dropped out of BRO after losing on stream.
We don't talk about that. I lost the top 1 Skyfox game.
I'm just gonna show my mulligan here. Not the best hand. We're not gonna keep anything because they're low impact. So we're just gonna put it to the bottom and draw a flash.
Want me to show what I put, or is that fun?
That's fine. It's not a Gandiva deck.
It's just a Gandiva guy.
It's just a random Gandiva guy.
Damn.
So you go to Vanguard locals, you point your finger at one random person. There's a 50-50 chance they play Gandiva. So,
Alright,
so just for demonstration, I'll go first. It definitely gives you an edge. Going second doesn't mean you can't win, but going first definitely makes your life a lot easier. So Vanguard, so I draw. Let's look at this. As we mentioned, this is a great piece to have. This is one of your key cards, and this is definitely not hurting. So let's just use Refill Seed skill. I don't have to discard, so I just ride up and pass turn. So going first is nice because obviously you don't need to discard to ride up. You're at a higher base than your opponent. But going first, it also means that you're going through your order a little bit earlier, and your opponent's personaing 1 less time. But what it means is that your opponent can draw 1 when they ride up. You're going second. You can't draw one for going second because Greedon doesn't have that skill, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is.
Alright, that's fine.
So early game, I don't want to take too much damage because it's not like I can call anything out. So I just get 15 to no pass.
Heal for you.
So that's it, no problem. This is also a pretty solid card. So again, I don't need to discard anything, I ride up. And this is 10k to you.
Over.
Check.
Okay.
That's very nice to see.
Love that you heal. Oh, I don't need it. That's fine. Right. And I'll call record force.
Sure.
I'll swing 10 to you.
If I see a defensive and he doesn't see an offensive, it blocks us out, so over.
10,000.
Just 5k?
Yep.
5k on the roll. That's kind of draw. So in this matchup, and this particular matchup only, which might not be a good demonstration, it's just best to not commit anything except your green-haired friend here, because they have basically resist. So they can be targeted by Gandiva skill, which means that your opponent can best harvest and draw 7. And it also means your opponent's bind potential. Bind ceiling is much lower, which makes life a lot easier. So on place, get 2 Dragon Tree markers. Of course, you want them in the front row rearguard circles. As I should have mentioned in the video, Greedon's on play skill, so Greedon's seed skill, chooses 2 of any rearguard circles and put a Dragon Tree marker. So if you have the Blitz order says you have to choose a rearguard circle without a Dragon Tree marker. But if you use the Blitz order before your grade 10 turn, so let's say you have one here on the previous turn, and then you ride up grade 10, you can actually put another Dragon Tree marker on the rearguard circle already with the Dragon Tree marker. So this is just a new mechanic, just prepping us for the grade 11, yes. Okay, so when you call anything out, given your opponent's setup right here, if you have this, okay, you want to put it in the same column as your opponent's rearguard, right? So if this is one of my cards, I don't want to be calling this card out here. I want to be calling this card out here, just so I have the option to do this. Because I only have 1 CB, but that option is so relevant. You might say that this might be actually better at this point because we don't have CB, because we're going to be playing around the Meteor Flare, which is a potential pick. Meteor Flare removes all continuous abilities on your opponent's board for this turn and gets you CB when we retire one in the same column. So we remove Morpheus skill to give resist, and then it'll let them retire the Morphea or the Lyser to enable more retiring. So be wary of that. I'd rather them call a Meteor Flare awkwardly here than here. Morpheus skill on place +2. +2, checked out card. So not the best card. So unfortunately, Morphea doesn't let us adjust the position, but our Lyser definitely does. So I will go into battle. This is 18 + 5, 23 2. I'll check the top card and I'll put it to the bottom.
All for the crit.
Sure. And Vanguard skill only procs when we attack the Vanguard, so I guess we're gonna go face 23.
Over.
For check. Ryu? The Blitz order.
Alright, that was check. Stand and draw. I will ditch the second card and round. Soul Blast 1. Bottom, draw 1. And then Vanguard skill, I do it for free, but I can't only get 1, so yeah, thing. And then it is draw 1, buy 1. So draw 1, and then buy 1. I will call a Regents, CB1, draw 1, buy 1. I will call a Sturb now, Soul Last 1. I find my Regents, and then buy 1 from draw. It's not a 4. And then I will call my counter.
Do you draw 1?
I did not draw 1, I think. We'll find out in post. And then this is 18, so I'll just call this here.
Oh, doesn't matter. It doesn't like any of the profile.
This is 21, 29.
You have 4 only, right?
I have 4
But
only.
you can bind 1.
Yes.
So I'll take this. Crit on Vanguard.
Vanguard swings, I bind the counter charger, so plus 10, so 23.
I'm at 23, so I'll give you
20,000 to sell.
And I'll use Blitz Order. This is 20k shield if I'm on grade 10, and I get a Dragon Tree Mark.
Go ahead.
Just remember you can only use one Blitz Order each turn. So if you have too many, PG them away, spread them, do whatever you need. Persona, go on. So we're gonna go straight into battle. This is really odd. Generally, you want to call stuff out, but it's Gandiva. You don't want to give them too many binds because at the end of the day, the moment you hit your OT turn, you win. Most of the time. If not, you win the turn after. So just play it safe. Turtle. This is 16, 26, 36. Check that part. We'll keep it on top.
I will guard with a front and intercept for 38.
Okay. This swings for 23 plus 5 for each, 38, and I get a crit if I have fear.
So this matches 38.
Yes.
And then this is 53.
53 is 2 pass.
Yes.
First check. Monster. Second check. Return. So I chose to keep the Light Surge on top because it is the one rearguard that I kind of can call without getting punished. And also if they do take the damage and then I swing, they should generally still guard it because if I hit a crit I win, and if they're at 3 they should PG, so I keep heal on top of 2 points.
Persona, draw. I'll activate Vanguard skill. I don't retire anything.
Yeah, but that's PG.
I don't look at the rest.
Front, okay, sure. So seeing 2 PGs, that means not any PGs
One
in hand.
call. I will call an alpha car out. And then battle.
That's 6, right?
Yes.
Plus 12.
So this is 22.
It's 32.
Oh, 32, sorry.
20k shield, 33.
This is 35.
35. 35, I will take this.
This is 35 skill of alpha card. So this one's 37. It's your top 5. I will call it Regions. No skill. It's no CP.
So 30, 37.
37, yes.
So I'll use Blitz Order, Evergreen Transfer. This card gives my Vanguard 25k. And so I'll be at 38, which is 1 pass. And I'll give you Ryu, which is 15k shield if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, and I don't have a Vanguard with Ryu in its card name. So this is
53.
2 pass.
2 pass, yes. Second card. Crit. I'll give all effects to Regions. This is 34, 44.
44 to my 13.
Yes.
44 to crit.
Yes.
This is 33, 48.
Go ahead.
Stand and draw. So in some cases, if you didn't get the Blitz Order, you can kind of damage your opponent. In this case, I don't think it's necessary. We kind of have to put them to 4 or 5 and ask for lethal on the OT turn. So, Persona, draw 1. I'll use the Light Surge skill, CB1. Pull a copy of Morphia. So if we hit a heal or 2 here, we would be in a fantastic spot to seal up the game. So Morpheus skill on place, check teleport. So battle, Vanguard is going to be 28-38. Crit.
I'll OT that for safety. So
60.
no pass.
First check, PG. Second check, crit. I'll put it all to, so this is 16, 26, 36. This
So
is
33.
18, 23, 33, 36, 33. I'll put it all here. I'll swing with the 2 crit one. 18, 23, 33, 43. Check that card. I will put it to the bottom.
I'll guard 2 crits and intercept.
This is 36, check the board. I'll leave on top.
No way. Stand and draw. Off Persona Red. Draw. Again, I'll guess like pop Vanguard skill. Just something you have to
Can I retire anything?
PG.
Sure.
So I'll bind one, over trigger, take a draw one. I'll call a Sturgeon, Soul Blast 1, bind Sturgeon, draw 1, and then bind 1, crit. So I think that puts me at 10.
Yes.
And then I'll call a Graphic Force. So Vanguard Swings, this is 43.
We're just gonna PG this for safety.
First check. Second check. PG. This is 40 to you. On hit, retire
42.
to
And this is 43.
Yes.
So I'll give you 43
Okay, and this is 43.
to me.
Yes.
I'll take this.
Go ahead.
Stand and draw. This is our OT turn. Look at how easy it is to survive to this point of the game. Recognize that when you flip OT, you have to draw one, so be careful of your stacking on this turn. So no persona on this turn. And you can only reset units with the Dragon Tree marker, so don't boost unless you want to put the 100 million here. Cards in hand.
I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cards.
Okay. So battle. This is 21 to you. Check top board. I will leave it on top.
All card will take a shield.
Sure. This is 26 to you. I'll leave it on top.
All card with a crit trigger.
Sure. Okay. Vanguard Swings. 28. Skill. I'll flip the OT over. So you have to finish the 100 million and the draw one first. So I'll put 100 million on this slicer. I'll draw one. And then I'll deal 1 damage. And then afterwards I'll reset everything. So Vanguard's 28 to put it.
I will perfect guard that, discarding a best harvest.
Turn it for check. Heal trigger. Get. I'll heal 1. So this is 100 million. So I'll put 10 here instead. Second check. Front trigger. And then the front row. So this is 16, 26, 36, 46. Check the card. Put to the bottom.
No guard.
100 million.
I'll perfect guard. Wait, sorry.
Check the card. And
Discarding another best harvest.
I'll put this to the bottom.
Alright, stand and draw. I will use Vanguard skill again. I don't retire anything. As per the usual. Or the PG.
PG and 2 crits. The crits are scary.
So I will bind 1, crit, and draw 1. And then I will call and retire. Battle. This is 18, 28, 38, 40.
30% off.
I did not persona.
So this is plus 32, right?
Yes.
42, 50?
Wait, no, I did not persona, so that's only 22.
20, 22.
So
This is
40.
40. Sure, I'll take front trigger, hard to Vanguard, to front row.
So this is resolve on effect first, so counter charge. And the counter blast, so uppercut skill. So less than 2,000. I will call a Brachial Force out.
Okay. 39.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no more OT, so there's no fear. PG is here. Discard this.
Alright, first check. Second check. Crit. I will give all effects to Scorpio.
Yep.
So that's 23, 33, 43, 49.
49. I'm at 23. 23. This is 20k shield.
So you're 33?
I'm at 43.
Oh yes, 43.
43.
And you need 10,000 more.
I need 10k more, and I'll give you 10k.
Sure. And then this is
36.
36.
Give me 20k shield.
Sure. Go ahead.
Scan. And draw. all your units restand. That's really funny.
I'm gonna die.
I'm thinking of a lot of triggers though, so keeping these here isn't necessarily that crazy. Having the resist is always gonna be good. So cards in hand.
I have 2, 4, 6. Plus minus 2.
That's fine. So battle. Loses 26 to you. Check top card. I'll put it to the bottom.
Vanguard.
26 to you. Check top card. I'll put it to the bottom.
Vanguard with the front.
This is 33 2 crit skill. I already put the over trigger, but it still enables me to reset everything.
Guard intercept.
So this is 1 pound, so 2 crit.
Yes.
For sure. 26 again. Check top card. I'll put it to the bottom.
No guard.
And that's it. That's it. Yeah. So, yeah, again, in different matchups, you disable your opponent's rear grips. So, them not being able to restand them, especially at a low hand size, is really painful, right? If I stun your grade 3s, especially like Sajess, you can't even intercept them away, right? Or a card like this, it's a good beater. Honestly, this is a one-off, as we mentioned, but you can always keep it alive by soul blasting 1. So it's very efficient. Just solid standalone card. But yeah, how do you feel losing to a Shaman King with the meta deck? There's still a lot of triggers left.
There is a lot of triggers. Honestly, it was tough.
It was tough.
Especially with Gandiva and you being so tanky, and like because I can't bind anything, right? The whole benefit of retiring cards is so I can bind extra.
Yeah.
And not only that, best harvest being a dead card just makes it a lot harder to put cards into my hand. While like plussing a lot more if I just retired.
Yeah, definitely. So this is definitely one of the pain points of the deck, and why, frankly, if you choice restrict best harvest with Gandiva, I think the deck is a lot more balanced. But yeah, that's the gameplay. So